Welcome to Spotlight. Today I have the pleasure to sit down with Mayor Bill Wild, who is running for Congress for the 13th Congressional District. Welcome to MEA. It's great to have you.
Thank you for having me on today, and it's nice to be back in studio today.
Well, you have been re-elected for a second term as a mayor of Westland. Why now? Why are you running for Congress?
You know, I've been very fortunate to be the mayor of my hometown of Westland for the last 12 years.
Okay.
In my time as mayor, I've learned a lot about you know, moving a city ahead, and I found the things that we can do to move Westland ahead. But this is an opportunity that I can help a lot more people.
How will this affect the city of Westland or the people of Westland?
Well, like I said, I think this is a chance for me to help Westland at a higher level.
Okay.
The 13th Congressional District, which is the area that I'm running for, is made up of the city of Detroit plus 12 other cities, and Westland's a part of that. So
it is the second largest city in the district, right?
It is outside of Detroit.
Okay.
So, you know, the things that I've learned is that as a mayor, you can only do so much, and we've made a lot of progress, and I'm proud of that. But our city, along with the other cities in the district, they need more help from Washington on infrastructure to help rebuild our roads and bridges, and also to continue to keep our water clean and safe.
Sure.
But there's so many other things too that we need. We need help with education. We need dollars for you know, for our children, for pre-K education and neighborhood revitalization, and the needs go on, and those are things that are outside of the grasp of what a mayor can do. So they need help in Washington, and I think with the experience that I have as a full-time mayor for 12 years, I really think I understand the needs. And in Washington, I think I can bring back those resources to help not only Westland, but the entire district.
Right. Well, you will be replacing Congress Conyers, who's served in the Congress for 53 years, and now he's resigning for some issues. Tell me about the candidates that are you running against? Tell me, like, who are you running against?
Well, there's a large field, and certainly, as you said, Congressman Conyers has represented this district for 53 years.
Yes.
So, you know, there's a big field. You know, there's, besides myself, there's Brenda Jones from Detroit, and a couple of the Conyers family members, and
there's three of them, right?
no, there's only two.
Oh, two now. Okay, okay.
John Conyers Jr. and Ian Conyers,
yes.
And Rashida Tlaib, and there's a few other candidates. So it's a very crowded field. I think one thing that your viewers would recognize is that I'm the only mayor that's part of that field, and I think that there's probably no better job to prepare you for Washington than being a mayor, because you really learn how, you know, the needs of the people. You learn constituent services, which you know, sometimes unless you've actually been on the front lines, you'd never really understand that. So
right. So why, I mean, why should people vote for you? What distinguishes you from the other candidates?
Well, I think that's where it becomes very clear, is that a lot of times in a campaign, you'll hear a lot of people say that if you elect me, I'm going to do this, this, and this.
Yes.
I think that especially when you have a large field of candidates, it's probably more important to figure out, well, what has this individual done in the past to prepare them for this type of job? And make no doubt about it, being a congressional representative is a lot of responsibility. It's an incredible job. So I think when you look at the candidates, you'll see that I actually have a proven track record of moving a city forward, which is probably one of the toughest jobs that you could have. And the city of Westland is becoming more diverse every day, and I've worked with a lot of different communities. I've been a good friend of the Arab American community as they continue to increase their footprint in Westland, but all throughout Wayne County. And so I think when you look at people's track record, has this person ever accomplished anything? My track record in Westland is very clear. You can look us up on cityofwestland.com and see what we've done.
Yeah, I know you have like a great reputation as a mayor of Westland. I mean, you cleaned up all deficit, you balanced the budget during your term. However, some critics have raised some questions or concerns about you, that you're not the most approachable person as a mayor, and it's believed that you should be more available like to your city. How do you respond to these critics?
Well, I think everybody has critics. I think
Of course.
that I think that the folks that know me in Westland, they know me. I think the reason that I've been reelected mayor 3 times is because I'm a hands-on mayor.
Yeah.
I'm involved with the day-to-day operations of the city. I'm available. They call me a 24/7 mayor. So besides having office hours, I'm available on Facebook and Twitter, and I communicate with my residents in a lot of different ways. And so I think
So it's not true.
I think well, I'd like to think that it's not, because my wife thinks I spend way too much time answering emails and Twitters and Facebook messages
Well, that's good to know.
all throughout the night. But
Yeah.
but in the city of Westland, the way that I've set it up, and it would be the exact same way as a congressperson, is that I tell people in Westland, if you have a problem, call the mayor's office. If you look up
Yes.
the city of Westland's phone number in the phone book or on Google, the number that pops up is the mayor's office. I changed it so that when you call City Hall, you call the mayor's office. So we're your first stop.
Right.
And as congressperson, that's going to be the same thing, whether it be for, you know, Social Security, immigration issues, veteran issues, VA issues, problems with your landlord. It doesn't matter. Your first
Yeah.
call will be my congressional office, just like
Good.
it is as mayor.
That's great. Well, you are a public servant. You've been for the last 20 years, and you are a small business owner for, I believe, 30 years.
For 30 years.
For 30, that's
You've
a long
done your homework.
Yes, of course, for a long time.
Yeah.
And would that make you more? How should I say this? Like you'll be your main focus more about like bringing more business to the area, to the neighborhood. Would that be your main focus?
You know, absolutely. I think that being a small business owner probably is the skill set that set me up to be a successful mayor. As I talk with the different mayors and city managers throughout the district, one of the things that almost every community needs after you talk about infrastructure is economic development. When you talk to the residents in Inkster and Romulus and Highland Park and Ecorse and River Rouge and Melvindale,
Yeah.
Dearborn Heights, Redford, they're these older communities, but they're really looking for new development to.
How are you going to do that?
Well, that's something it really comes down to relationships. And in Westland as mayor, I've been able to connect the dots with people that were investors, people that were looking for opportunities. Showcasing them our opportunities. In Westland, we became a very business-friendly community, which separated us from a lot of other people. So as a congressperson, I'm going to continue those same type of things, because that's the stuff I have passion for, and I'll be continuing to look for ways to connect investors and people with opportunities in all of these cities, because the small business members, and this is one of the things that I really feel like I connected with the Arab American community on, is it's a network of small business people.
Right.
And they're very open to taking risk and taking opportunities, as long as they think that they're going to be treated fair and treated well. So I'll continue to try to make those connections and build those bridges with those communities, because in the 13th Congressional District, there is just an enormous amount of opportunity for small business.
And good luck with that. That's great. We are, you know, in Michigan, we are a melting pot of cultures. Metro
Absolutely.
Detroit area holds the largest population of Arabs and Chaldeans, and not only growing in population, but in influence and economic abilities. And you know that offhand.
Absolutely.
What would you cater to those Arab and Chaldeans in order for them to vote for you?
Well, the one thing I would do is I would ask them first to just you know, thank you for the relationship that we already have on a lot of different levels. But what I would do is I would say continue to communicate with me the things that you're looking for, opportunities. As a congressional member, what I would do is I would bring folks together. We would have economic summits. I could do that in Dearborn Heights. I can do it in Garden City. I can do it. We could do
those
it. We
areas,
could do it district-wide.
Okay.
We basically, what we do is we connect the dots with the opportunities, because a lot of people don't realize the opportunities that there are in the district.
Okay.
As a
So
member,
you're going to bring more
I've
of that.
recognized it. And that's where you know, that's not, a lot of people think you go to Washington and all you do is vote on bills every day. I think the real work of a congressperson is actually leveraging the weight of the office to make an impact back in the district.
Yes.
And if that's on economic development, if it's on creating a business-friendly environment, if it's working with educators. That's the true mark of a good congressperson, is who can leverage that office to actually get things done back in the district. And,
Yes.
and it's not always about voting.
Just
because
voting for bills.
Actually, that's such a
I
small
agree.
part of the job, but a lot of people think that's the only thing that matters.
Yeah. How do you feel about President Donald Trump's actions and decisions toward Arab and Chaldeans? And I can give you a couple of examples about banning some Arab countries to enter U.S. And actually another thing about Jerusalem, he recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. And what else? Deportation of Iraqis. There's a lot of decisions that he made and actions toward hostility toward Arabs. How do you feel about that, about his actions?
Well, I'm appalled by it. And I can tell you, as a mayor of a city that's diverse, that's exactly the opposite way to build bridges. And you know, when you think about Donald Trump came in and talked about a divided country, and he was going to be the guy to bring everybody together, and his very first actions were to drive a wedge between people.
Right away when he first started office.
You know, when he got sworn in on the first day, he talked about infrastructure and building our bridges and stuff, and then on day two he started talking about banning travel bans and stuff. That's because he doesn't get it. As mayors, you understand the importance of that. I understand the importance of immigration. The impact it has on the country's economy is just amazing. We depend on immigrants. I don't believe in segregating and turning people against each other. As mayor, I know that there's no bigger recipe for disaster for your city. So if you multiply that to the country, it just doesn't make any sense. So
this country is built on diversity.
Absolutely.
So
you know, my family, everybody that lives in the United States pretty much comes from immigrants. So
from somewhere.
Exactly. So so I don't. That's not my tone. That's not, you know, that divisiveness is horrible for our country. When that trickles down to the local level, what we started to see was that we started to see that same nastiness and that same, you know, people would start coming to our city council meetings and talking like Donald Trump and stuff. So that's not.
So he opened the door for that, basically.
So it's not good for the country. It's not good for the 13th Congressional District. It's not good for the city. So we depend on each other. Our communities, the 13th, is very diverse. We need a community we need people that can work together. And as a congressperson, I'm going to continue to build the bridges. As mayor, I've learned a lot about building bridges through community by working in not just because of your viewership, but working with the Arab community, Arab American community. They've really taught me the importance of building bridges, and so I've been trying to take what I've learned working there and applying it back in my city, and I plan to apply that in the 13th Congressional District as well.
That's great. We're going to talk about some issues in Michigan, major issues like roads. We have potholes everywhere. I mean, we are not in the third world country. We are in the U.S. and we have this major issue. If you get elected, how are you going to fix the roads?
So this is one of those issues that every city in the 13th Congressional District has the same thing. And as I get out and talk with people, a lot of times you think we're going to talk about healthcare and education and other issues, but almost everywhere we go they talk about roads.
Roads, definitely.
So one of the things I've learned as mayor is that you have limited funds. And in Westland, which is the second biggest city in the district, we only get about $1 million a year from the state of Michigan.
And it's not enough.
So we have 200 square miles of roads in Westland. With $1 million a year, you can pave 1 mile of 3-lane highway. So I know that cities don't have the ability within the current structure to rebuild their roads.
Right.
That's where I think a congressperson can help, because first of all, I understand that. The federal government is working on passing a $1.9 trillion infrastructure bill. As a congressperson, it's going to be one of the very first things I work on is making sure that the 13th Congressional District gets that money coming back to the district for our infrastructure and our roads. Right now, there's nobody that's in that office. So when you think about as this process is moving forward, the 13th Congressional District doesn't have a seat at the table. So we're going to be behind the 8 ball coming in.
So you will be initiating that. Is that what you're saying, Anna?
That'll be one of the very first things, because that's the thing that the money is already allocated. I got to make sure that we're getting that money coming back to the roads and the communities in the 13th Congressional District. So, and I'm not talking about patching potholes, because today we have a pothole problem. What we really have is an infrastructure problem.
Yes.
So patching the potholes is just a
temporary or a short-term solution. Yes.
As we rebuild our roads, they have to be built with materials that are going to last. They have to be built for specifications so that they can withstand a Michigan winter. And at the same time, when we have those roads up, we need to be replacing the underground water infrastructure that we depend on for clean and safe water.
So working on the infrastructure. Basically,
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Not patching it, which is great. I like that.
Building it for the next generation.
Yes. And we're going to talk about school safety, and especially it is a huge issue. Especially after the last mass shooting in Parkland, in one of the high schools in Parkland, Florida. And what are the best strategies in order to keep those guns out of the hands that intend to harm other people?
Yeah, well, first of all, we got to make sure that those guns are not getting in there. They should be hard to get. They shouldn't be in the hands of people that shouldn't have them. And I think that those guns are weapons of war myself. I mean, I believe in the Second Amendment, and I'll defend it. But at the end of the day, we don't need these guns anywhere near our schools. I can tell you that I was part of a national discussion myself. There were 40 mayors and 40 police chiefs that met in Washington, D.C. 2 weeks ago. And we were talking about this issue because this is a national issue, keeping our schools safe. And as public officials and parents, if we can't keep our schools safe, then I don't think we can keep anything safe. So we talked about best practices. We talked about ideas. I don't think I've heard from anybody that arming our teachers is the way to do that. My wife's a teacher.
Yeah, okay.
I think the goal is to keep guns out of the schools, not put more guns in the schools. But I think that these conversations are happening across the country, and I think that the federal government has to be involved, because as we look at school safeties and we talk about maybe bringing in security guards, or maybe metal detectors, or maybe changing the point of entry, those are all going to be dollars. And Michigan is already at the bottom of the pile for education. If we start taking our classroom dollars and trying to put that into hiring security guards and reinforcing our entries.
So you're not addressing the issue this way. It's just like patching it.
Perpetuating it, right.
Yeah.
So the federal government, through these infrastructure dollars, should be making funds available so that we can start creating safer schools. I'd rather see our local dollars go towards hiring more counselors.
Yeah, like programs,
dealing with the issues
mental
inside
issues.
the school.
Yeah, absolutely,
because the system failed in Parkland, so we have to make sure that the system doesn't fail again. So it's a national discussion. I think every community is going to handle it a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I think a congressperson can take a lead, because we need to make sure there's federal dollars, because if we have to start changing the way our schools are situated or bring in security guards, they're going to need dollars to do that. And I think with the federal government, because it's a national issue, they have to take the lead. And as a congressperson, I'll make sure those resources come back to our district.
But as of now, nothing is done. I feel it's more business. They want to keep selling those guns, and that's it.
Well, that's the part that's got to change. And what's sad is, after Parkland, we had this surge where the children have stood up and they started speaking against it, and they went to Washington. Within a couple of days, Washington changed their focus, and they went on to the next thing. So the discussion in Washington has already moved on. I mean, in a very short time, they started talking about Facebook, and they started talking about
so
now we're talking about Russia again. So
it died. Like,
it never fixed the problem.
No, we issue it. I mean, we talk about it, and then that's it, and nothing is done.
Absolutely.
So, anyways, we're going to talk about also the Flint water crisis that has reached a wide audience, not just in Michigan or the state, it's all around the world. And especially now, Governor Snyder administration is stopping the bottled water supplies for the people of Flint. What's your response to that?
Well, I think this administration continues to make mistakes, that they haven't learned anything yet. So I recently, the mayor of Flint, Karen Weaver, reached out to me and other mayors, and she told us that the governor was going to be cutting off their bottled water. She asked us if we would get involved. So I wrote a letter to Governor Snyder.
To support it, sorry? Is it to support it?
To ask him not to cut off the bottled water.
I see, okay.
So the problem that they have in Flint that they can't seem to fix is that they have a total loss of public trust. The only way they're going to get the public trust back is they're going to have to fix the lead service lines. They're going to have to remove them from the system, get them all out, and then you can start talking about the water is safe to drink again, because it doesn't matter any report that they stand in front of the cameras and say the report says it's safe. Yeah, I remember a couple years ago people were standing in front of the cameras with brown water saying, look at my water, and they were saying the report says it's safe to drink.
Yeah,
and
but
so
some people are still drinking it, and people are getting sick.
Well, I know that they've done a good job, at least it appears that they've done a good job of giving people filters.
Okay.
And I think that is an incredible, to me that is the first thing they should have done. If you don't have a filter now, you need to get one. But
that's a temporary situation. They need to fix the pipes, right?
They've got to fix the pipes. They can't, like we talked in Washington, that they've moved on. We can't move on in Michigan until it's fixed. And in Flint, they're going to have to do more than they probably should, only because they had a total loss of public trust, and they've got to get that back. And the government in Michigan has got to find a way to continue that bottled water until that's done, because until they get the trust back, I don't think it's fair to anybody that lives in there, and I think that there's no way that Flint can recover economically if people don't trust the water in the houses and the businesses.
And one more thing, how are they going to get the money? Is it from the government? Because it's going to cost over $1 billion to fix the pipes. I mean,
Yeah. Well, absolutely. I know that they got money originally from the federal government.
So they have the money?
Well, I know that they started the program. I'm not sure if they have all the dollars needed, but I think this is something that the whole world saw this. Washington saw it, and it could happen in another city. So I think in Washington they got to make sure that they get Flint right, because if they don't and it happens somewhere else, shame on us.
Yes. Well, final word to the viewers, please.
Well, I first of all, I appreciate being here today. I appreciate your interest in my congressional race. It's for the 13th Congressional District. It's made up of 12 cities, Detroit, and then 11 other cities. You can follow our campaign on BillWildForCongress.com, and we talk about all the different issues, and a lot of other candidates won't tell you where they stand on the issues. My website will tell you where we stand on all of them. You can also follow us on Facebook. You can follow me on Twitter at Mayor Wild. Take a look at what I've done in the city of Westland, and what I've done there is something I think that I can help create all throughout the district. And once again, I appreciate being on your show here today, and I appreciate the time that you've given us.
Well, Mayor Bill Wild, I want to thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it, and I wish you the best of luck on your campaign.
Well, thank you.
And thank you. Viewers, before you go out there and vote, please consider Mayor Bill Wild experience as a public servant, as a small business owner, his devotion and his commitment to get things done. This is Hanan Skaf, and thank you for watching.